So sorry for the slight delay there, everybody. Don't we all love technology and don't we all love Zoom? So good morning. This is Simon Vegro, and I welcome you all to another exciting Redbourn Community Newsbite. Now on Zoom, and as in previous weeks, with an exciting new format. Today, as you can already gather, we're living on the edge because in addition to some technological fun, we're actually going to be showing some live video and audio files. So won't that be exciting? All will be revealed shortly. I'd like to welcome everybody joining today's Zoom Live, and also all those who watch and listen to it later on Facebook, because apparently we've got an awful lot of people watching it on our website and on Facebook later on in the day or in the week. So hello to you all, and I hope you all enjoy it. A few things I do need to say in advance, so forgive me if you've been on the previous weeks and have heard all this before. I'll rattle through this very quickly. People joining are automatically muted with the video turned off. If you want to preserve your anonymity, I always struggle with that, still further, you can change your name in Zoom. You can use the chat function to send questions or messages if you like. This is being live streamed if we can get it working to Redbourn's Facebook page. But whether that happens or not, later on will be on the air, active in Redbourn website as an audio file. And if I've forgotten anything, I'm now inviting our producer to come in and correct me. And if I don't hear from her, I'll assume we're good to continue.
Yep.
I'm getting that yes as a yes. So
yep.
Super duper, thank you, Olive. So as mentioned, we're doing things a little bit differently today, but I'm going to start by reading out an update from the Health Centre. Next week, we hope to have Liz Richards from the Health Centre back on live, and we're also working hard to get an update from Elms. So I'm just going to read out what the Health Centre have sent through, which hopefully is good information for everybody. Point 1, if you are over 70 or clinically extremely vulnerable and been asked to shield, you should have received an invitation for a COVID vaccine. If you have not, then please contact us via the website, which is www.lodgesurgery.co.uk, the email lodgesurgery@nhs.net, or telephone 01727 853 107. We can always give those details again at the end, by the way. The vaccine is safe, simple, and will offer you and those around you crucial protection against this virus. So that's good news, I think. Point 2, Batchwood have been operating drive-throughs this week in the freezing cold to our clinically extremely vulnerable patients to protect them as much as possible, as they don't have to get out of the car, which is great. And it's been very cold, as we all know. You can still attend on foot if you wish. Point 3, the next group to be vaccinated will be aged 65 to 69, and that's going to be starting this Friday. Text will be going out very soon with the oldest first. So the older you are, the sooner you get your text. And point 4, on a different topic, we'd like to inform our patients that we have a new first contact physiotherapist who will be working on Thursday and Friday mornings and all day Saturday. He's the person to see for any musculoskeletal problems. Please ask reception. So there we go. That's a really good update. Hopefully that was useful from the Health Centre. Things are going well. And I'm delighted, as I'm sure you all are, that the vaccine programme right across the country seems to be moving at a serious pace, which is great news. So now on to the exciting new stuff. Olive, are we ready to go with the videos and so on? Super duper. So first, there's the lovely Ian Caldwell. I don't know why I call him the lovely. One of my colleagues on the parish council. And this week we're going to have an update from him, which has been pre-recorded. So here's Ian Caldwell talking about the parish council.
Good morning. My name is Ian Caldwell, and I've been a parish councillor about 10 years, once co-opted and twice elected. Let me tell you a bit about the system. Obviously, there is a three-tier system, where the first tier being the county council, the second the district council, which is St Albans, and the third tier being us, the parish council. There are 12 councillors, and the council sets the policy, and it's all implemented by the staff of 4, which is ably led by Chris Kenny, our parish clerk. And she also puts us on the straight and narrow if we deviate in any way. There's also a contractor, John Pidgeon, and his staff, who carry out all the sort of work like cutting the lawns, etc., on behalf of the council. The council own the common, which obviously are a major source of expenditure, and the Cumberland Gardens, which is great to see. In recent times this has been used for outdoor activities. There's been a play in there, and last year, even though the COVID problems, there was a musical event which went off very well, and it's regularly used by the Christmas market. We also manage the Millennium site on behalf of the district council. Now, we used to recently manage on behalf of the district council the Nicky line, but recently they took that back in-house. So any issues on the Nicky line, you contact the district council, not the parish council. We own the parish centre, Silk Mill House, which is leased to the museum, and also we have our store, which is the other side of the common. Also on the common is obviously the War Memorial, which is very important and does show how many people lost their lives who lived in Redbourn. The other major thing we do is we manage the play areas. And there's 4 play areas, the major one being East Common, which obviously you've probably been involved in raising the money for that. And that the play areas are well used and do take quite a bit of management, because they need to be inspected regularly, otherwise accidents can and do happen. There are, in the high street, we do own the clock, which is the far end of the village, which I think is a good memento of days gone by. A lot of the high street is actually not the responsibility of the parish council. It's the possibilities. Some of it comes under the district council, and a lot of that is of the county council. The local government in the country is a bit of a mishmash. It's very difficult to know who owns what, but this is history, and this is the way Britain has developed. Now, if you want any more information, go on the website. It's recently been updated, and it's a great asset, and it's really user-friendly. So enjoy the rest of the morning. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, Ian Caldwell. I know he can't be with us today, but thank you for recording that, Ian. Okay, I said that we're on the absolutely cutting edge, and here we are with a wonderful new feature which I'm delighted to introduce, which is, as you can see on the screen here, something called Redbourn Recommends. Now, we put this together because in the course of various sort of everyday conversations we've been having recently, several times people have asked us, and you may have seen it yourselves, can you recommend anything to watch on TV? A new box set, a new book, a new film, a new music, whatever it might be. And we thought, well, that's a really good idea. Why? And sort of stirred some thinking within us. And then we thought, well, okay, let's go with Redbourn Recommends. So here we are. We've got 2 audio clips about to follow with people that live in the village. Will be telling us all something they recommend, which we can listen to. And all of these will be posted on the Active in Redbourn Facebook page afterwards, by the way. So you don't necessarily have to make notes unless you want to. But here we go. So the first one is from Cara Brazier. So Olive, if you can press play, we can all hear it.
Hi everyone, it's Cara. I live in the village and I volunteer at Redbourn Community Library on the steering committee, and I also run Redbourn Book Club, which is one of many book clubs in the village. And rather unsurprisingly, I am here today to recommend a book to you. And the book that I would like to recommend is called A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. Now, the cover and the premise weren't particularly exciting to me, and I don't think that I would have picked this book up to read had it not been recommended. It's a fictional story about a count who is sentenced to house arrest. It just so happens that his house is a luxury hotel in Moscow. It's an amazing story because it manages to be a little bit of everything. So it's technically a historical fiction, but it includes relationships, a bit of romance, politics, espionage, parenthood, and a bit of poetry too. We follow the Count's life whilst he's under house arrest at the hotel from 1918 through the 1950s, meeting all the many vibrant characters who visit the hotel in that time. The hotel itself becomes a character too in some ways. The author is such an amazing character writer that was able to imagine each character really clearly. And you may think that a book set in just one location has the potential to be a bit dull, especially at the moment whilst we're all feeling a bit penned in. In fact, I found the opposite to be true. It was a really satisfying read. It was touching and surprisingly funny. Towles is a wonderful storyteller. I highly recommend this book, and I'm yet to speak to anybody who didn't enjoy it, so I hope that you do too.
Very good. And now the next one, Olive.
Hi everyone, my name's Carla and I live in Redbourn. My recommendation is the book The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osmond. I found it a really good lockdown read because despite it being quite a dark subject matter, it's quite a jolly and funny portrayal of friendship and adventure. It's also 3 stories rolled into one without being overly complex or hard to follow. My biggest takeaway is that I really want to live in the retirement village in the book. It was quite wonderful and actually a bit Redbourn-esque. Without spoilers, my favourite character was Joyce, who I imagined sounding just like the actress Annette Crosby. I'd give it 9 out of 10. This might be a bit of an uplift because of lockdown, but I can't wait for the sequel to be published. Finally, it is being serialised on Radio 4, so if you fancy a listen rather than a read, please find it.
Super duper. Isn't that good? So I'm really pleased that worked as well. So I hope you all enjoyed those recommendations. I've actually read The Thursday Murder Club myself, by the way, and really enjoyed it. We'd love, of course, to hear your recommendations too. So if anybody out there listening or watching would like to do one of these, please get in touch with us. The details are on the screen, or you can contact us afterwards and we can record you and you'll go global. So we really hope to hear from you. Okay, thank you very much, Olive. I'm now going to move on to Sally, who hopefully is still out there waiting patiently for us, who does such wonderful work with the care group. Morning, Sally.
Good morning. Can you hear me well enough?
We can hear you perfectly. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. The sun's shining and it's a lovely morning, so thank you.
Good stuff. So what have you got for us today, Sally? I think you've got a few points to make today.
Yes, Simon, this week I'm going to give you a brief statistical update. Last month in January, volunteers made 47 shopping trips for 23 different residents. There were 44 journeys taking residents to medical appointments. There would have been 54, 10 more were arranged but cancelled at the last minute. 7 of those went to Luton and Dunstable Hospital, 20 went to Batchwood Hall for the vaccinations. To put this into a perspective, the number is well below the comparative figure for January 2020, during which volunteer car drivers made 73 journeys taking people to medical appointments. Also last month, volunteers delivered 250 prescriptions. I can tell you that since last May, when volunteers began helping out the Crown Pharmacy with deliveries, in excess of 2,500 prescriptions have been delivered by volunteers, and that's in a 9-month period, which I think is quite an impressive statistic. Not that I'm particularly interested in statistics, only it is useful to follow trends, and if we apply for grants to support the work of the charity, we are required to give evidence, and often statistics demonstrate some aspect of the service. For me, and indeed for volunteers, behind these numbers it's the person who matters. And even if we were helping 1 or 2 people, it would all be worthwhile. So I'll conclude with a quotation. I received an email on Monday from Linda, and she says, "How grateful I am to Redbourn Care Group, who have helped me so much over the past 2 weeks. My son-in-law contracted COVID, so that my daughter, who is part of my support bubble, had to self-isolate in Harpenden whilst I was self-isolating in Redbourn. I then became quite poorly with a non-COVID infection. My daughter gave the care group a call asking for help. They brought my medication and some essential supplies, including toilet rolls, and they said they would be available to bring me anything I needed. So I'd like to say one big thank you to the care group and to all the volunteers who are supporting everyone in our community who find themselves in need of help at this difficult time. It's such a valuable support service. Thank you." I mean, I think this is what our community in Redbourne's all about, and it is a great privilege for all of us volunteers to be part of it. So thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Sally. As I say every week, it's such a wonderful job the care group do. So brilliant. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
I'm quite humbled. Thank you,
yes,
Sally.
It is very humbling, I have to say, when you receive emails and letters like that, it does make you feel very humble. It's quite emotional. So
Isn't it just?
thank you for letting me read it out. I
You're
managed
welcome.
to read it out without becoming choked up, but thank you.
It wouldn't have mattered if you did, though.
Well,
thank you very much, Sally.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to have a quick chat with Will. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Simon. How are you?
I'm exceptional. Well, I say I'm exceptional.
You are.
I feel quite good today.
You are exceptional.
Well, before you say what you might, I don't know what you're planning to talk about today, Will, but just a very, very quick comment about the rugby, which we talked about last week. Didn't quite go to script, did it?
Not at all. No. Interesting. I thought France were exceptionally good value. And leaves a question mark about whether Italy should be in the Six Nations or whether there should be promotions and relegations. But the standout before, I thought Scotland were very good value for their win. As I said last week, they've got an extremely good back line. I always worry about how much ball the backs are going to get, but I think Johnny Gray and Hamish Watson had a great game in the pack, and they were able to get the ball into the hand, and just a phenomenal game. And I think it showed up England's attritional style being perhaps a little bit one-dimensional. We may not have moved on, and there are real questions about that style and how we can adapt in the midst of a game. Interesting.
We don't seem to have a plan B, do we? It's like in the World Cup final when things started to go wrong. Anyway, I thought I'd just cover that one off quickly.
Absolutely.
So what would you like to, anything particular you want to chat to us about today, Will?
Well, just one or two brief things. Firstly, hearing from you and Ian Caldwell earlier and so on, delighted. We are so well supported by our parish councillors who are very generous in giving their time to support our community. Of course, we're all very aware of Handforth. I hope your meetings aren't quite as lively or as divisive as that. That was quite fun. I was amused to see that on the call today we've got one of the names on the Zoom call is Terry and June.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I wondered if it was the 1980s comedy program, but we'll find out in due course.
We've also noticed we've got Galaxy J3. Now I don't know whether these are aliens dialing in from another planet or another galaxy, but whoever they are, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, the reach of Active in Redbourn goes further and further into other galaxies, and doesn't surprise me. But very briefly, today is in the church calendar is a commemoration of Scholastica, and not perhaps so well known to many people, but rather disparaging, I think. I take issue with this. She's described as the brother of Benedict, and I don't much care for that description as an appendage to somebody else. And she was actually somebody incredibly impressive. The family were brought up in the Christian faith and so on. Benedict perhaps is the more famous, but Scholastica formed a convent of nuns, both nearby to each other, Benedict and Scholastica, in Nursia, which we know as southern Umbria, central Italy, and so on. And it just got me thinking about how we that was an incredibly close brother and sister relationship and so on. How we refer to each other is important. I know that Claire would be absolutely mortified if somebody described her as the vicar's wife, because I'm certainly never described as the teacher's husband. And I think we need to be a little bit careful about how we refer to each other. But it also got me thinking about siblings and so on. And that's an incredibly, or can be an incredibly close bond. Sometimes our siblings are our sternest critics and can say things that others perhaps wouldn't dare to, but love us incredibly and so on. And I just would encourage people on the call today to just pause for a moment at some point during the course of today and think about your siblings. There may be some who don't have any, who are only children, and whether that's been a positive experience or a matter of regret, perhaps. But for some of us, our siblings are in all sorts of parts of the world. I'm one of four. We're in at the moment in Scotland, in Wellingborough, here in Redbourn in Pennsylvania. The four of us, we span 12 and a half years. So I'm going to just pause for a moment and think about them. We've had our ups and downs and our relationships. I always say you don't choose your family. I'm not sure anyone would choose our family, but it is our family, and I love them nonetheless. So I just encourage our callers on the call today to think about your siblings. For some of you, they may be a very close bond and relationship. For others, they may be far away, either in terms of geography or emotionally, people that you're not so close to or even estranged from. And of course, there may be some for whom a brother or sister is no longer with us, has passed away. But I think it's an incredibly important relationship, our siblings, and something we might want to just pause and think about today.
Well, that's a lovely message, and I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm incredibly close to my sister, by the way. Well, emotionally, but actually geographically, she lives in Toronto. She said to me the other day, it's warmed up to -10. Think about it. She's warmed up to -10 degrees. So that's Toronto for you. But
amazing.
Yes, it's a lovely relationship, and I adore her to the core of my being. So I absolutely applaud your message to all the people on the call with siblings. Thank you, Will. Okay, thank you. We're now moving on to Olive is back on again, I think, with What's New. Am I right, Olive, or is it What's On? I can't remember, but if Olive's still out there, please take us into the next bit.
Yes, What's New? You may be pleased to hear that Live Well with Air is back. We did lots and lots of classes. I think there was 77 during the first lockdown, and we had a bit of a gap, and now we're back again. And so you can find us on Facebook with the Active in Redbourn Facebook page, or on YouTube with the Active in Redbourn Facebook YouTube page. And we're starting off on Thursday this week, 11 o'clock Thursday, with dog training. There are so many new dogs and puppies in the village. We thought we would actually put on a little bit of dog training. So we coerced a dog behaviorist to do 4 videos for us. And the first one, which is this Thursday at 11 o'clock, and of course you can pick them up later, is attention, paying attention. The second one is commands. The third one is heel, and the fourth one is wait. So one a week for 4 weeks.
Olive, can I ask you a question? Sorry to jump in unannounced. That photograph can't be real, can it? Dogs can't be that well behaved, can they?
It certainly is. And if you know what our dogs look like, they're the two in the middle with the football.
Yeah, that's what amazes me. Yeah.
They went to see this lady in the New Forest, and she runs agility classes, and most of the dogs in the picture are hers, and the others are from the agility class. The one on the right I loved, which was the great big standard white poodle, who was just hilarious at keeping everybody else in order. And yes, they are all, it is totally true. It's not photoshopped. And as somebody said to me, did you have to nail their tails down? Well, the answer was no. So, and she is great. So please come and listen to her. And I do recommend, or I would ask you a favor, that you write comments on the Facebook page, or you share it, or you just say you like it if you do, preferably not don't like it. But that would be great for us, because then more people get to see it. And there is so many new dogs around. I'm sure that it should go out to more people. And then Dr. Mike Cannell, who did some of the first Live Well with Air with me, is coming back to do what he calls practical help to prevent cognitive decline, which we could all do with. And so that one is 11 o'clock on Friday, the 12th of February. And of course, the great advantage to having him on YouTube and Facebook is you can pick them up anytime, which is what we're realizing about these calls, is that people come back and listen to them later because they're homeschooling or whatever during the day. So there we go. That's what's new this week. And
thank you, Olive.
Pleasure.
Okay, so we're now almost at the very end of the show. I'm just going to have a quick word with Tim Snatchup before we get going. Good morning, Tim Snatchup.
Good morning, Simon.
I think, am I right in thinking, I was speaking to Grandpa Snatchup earlier, am I right in thinking you've been doing some Oscar Wilde behind the scenes?
We have. We have our regular play reading on a Tuesday evening, and we did The Importance of Being Earnest yesterday.
Oh, how wonderful. I mean, isn't that a wonderful play, isn't it?
Absolutely wonderful play. Yes, indeed. So that we read that through, and it's as good as ever.
Good stuff. So you're keeping yourself busy, even apart from the Snatchups, which of course is what we're all dying to hear.
Well, in fact, I mean, we've been doing these play readings every week since April, and amazingly, it's kept the group far more together than it's ever been. We have about 12 every single week, and usually we would split into, there'd be the half a dozen doing the production, and then, you know, we wouldn't be together as a group. Some people come to rehearsals, but you mix up, and now every single week with lockdown, we've done a group event, and so that's been a real benefit. It's
lovely, isn't it? Yes, I did read something the other day, which was I suppose an unexpected positive coming out of this, which is much as Zoom sort of base calls can be maligned, it is actually able to bring people together much more frequently, and in some ways and more personally than we ever imagined. So who knows what it will be like when this is all over, whether we'll still continue to communicate in this sort of way.
Yeah, I think that we will continue to do something like this. It has been really beneficial, and it's really brought, because we do have older members who are less likely to be in the productions, and so are less involved in the actual sort of, you know, dramatic side of it. And, you know, this has given them a real chance to be involved with the play readings.
Fantastic. We'll keep it up, Tim, Snatchup or David. Okay, so slight pause. And now it is time to head over once again to the picturesque Hertfordshire village of St Mary's for the next instalment of our weekly serial, The Snatchups. When we left it last week, Tim had been arrested for an illegal protest in the middle of Redbourn Road, and Grandad was getting to grips with Mrs Prodworthy's misgivings.
Stan, where are you?
I'd leave it 5 minutes if I were you. Those vindaloos from Indian Nights are very nice, but they don't half play havoc with my bowels.
Well, I hope you sprayed with the air freshener. And why do you always have to take the newspaper in there with you? I've got to read that later.
Well, it's a good job that I did. The Advertiser has a whole article on Tim's case. They're really getting behind his campaign for St Albans Cycleway. Lying down in the middle of the road and stopping the traffic was a bit of a daft way to get attention, but it seems to have worked.
And I'm so pleased he managed to get bail, especially after he turned up to court in that hands off our Greenbelt T-shirt.
Yes, it was nice of Grandad to put up the money.
Well, he didn't have much choice, did he? And you'd better make sure he gets it back. He wants to take Mrs Prodworthy on a cruise when everything gets back to normal. He's promised to take her up the fields.
Oh, I bet he has, the dirty old devil.
Anyway, Tim's at the police station. He has to go and report once a week until his trial comes up in a few weeks' time. His lawyers, Cheatham and Swindler, think he's got a really good chance of only getting a fine, especially with all the publicity.
Yes, he's become quite a celebrity.
And he's not the only one. Phil Tibbs has become quite a celebrity too. He and Sweep have got through to the next round of Britain's Got Talent. They were nearly edged out by that blindfold Ukrainian knife thrower on the unicycle. But Simon Cowell was so impressed with Sweep's sensitive barking to Amazing Grace that he used his casting vote to put them through. That means they've made it to the semi-finals. The whole village will be glued to the telly on Saturday night.
Morning, Mum. I think there might be a problem with the drains. There's a horrible smell coming from the downstairs toilet.
That was your father. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I wish we could harness it in some way. It would probably halve our electricity bill.
I am here, you know.
Anyway, you look a bit stressed, darling. Are you all right?
Not really. I have a very important piece of coursework to hand in on Friday, and I don't understand what I'm doing. Oh, I hate not being in school, and I'm really struggling with the online lessons. I can't believe how much disruption there's been this year. I'm supposed to be sitting my A-levels in the summer, and we've only covered half the syllabus. Oh, how am I ever going to be ready?
Well, look on the bright side. At least you won't have to sit any exams. They've all been cancelled.
But that's even worse, because it means they're going to be based on the teacher's assessments instead. And I really did badly in my mocks.
Well, that's because you were spending too much time with that Gary what's-his-name.
Oh, here we go again. Anything that goes wrong, it's always Gary's fault. Oh, you've never liked him. Well, don't blame me if I don't get to university. I thought at least my own family would understand. Oh, I'm going up to my room.
Oh, well done, Stan. I thought you handled that really well. The next time I need someone to give a motivational speech, I'll know where to come. Student anxiety levels have increased hugely with all the uncertainty. It's not easy for her, you know.
Well, it wasn't easy for us either. The School of Hard Knocks and the University of Life, that's what we had.
Yes, and look where it got you. Some role model you are.
Anyway, what's that you've got there?
It's a book. I got it this morning from the little book hub.
Oh, what's that?
It's the book exchange in the village. You take books you've finished with and swap them for ones you haven't read. I took your copy of The Good Beer Guide and swapped it for 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey? Is that a book on art? Well, if you're not getting much chance to do it, I suppose reading about it's the next best thing.
That's just what I thought when I chose it. I'm not getting the opportunity to do it much these days, so I might as well read about it instead. It's quite enlightening.
Well, you always did like a bit of abstract expressionism.
Yes, and you wouldn't believe how much of it there is in there.
I'm back. Sorry I'm a bit late, but the paper wanted another interview.
Maybe you should get arrested more often, Tim. You've never had this much attention in your life.
Yes, but unfortunately it means I can't do any protesting for a while as I'm restrained by that civil injunction. So what I've decided to do is take the battle underground and wage the war through propaganda instead. I'm going to do a blog in my bedroom.
Well, make sure you clean it up afterwards.
No, Mum. A blog is an online forum that enables you to get your message out to the masses. It's about freedom of speech. I'm going to be a spokesman for my generation, a rallying point for rebellion. The revolution starts here.
Well, just as long as the revolution doesn't interfere with tea time.
That's all we need. It's like living with Wolfie Smith.
Anyway, at least you finally finished helping Grandad clear out his garden shed. You were at it for days. I mean, what was in there that took such a long time to sort out? I wouldn't have thought he'd had that much stuff.
Oh, well, it was more than we thought. It's like the TARDIS in there. Seems a lot bigger on the inside, but it's all done now.
Right, I'm off down the co-op. Do you want anything?
Oh, can you get a couple of scratch cards? It's a Euro Millions rollover.
You don't want to bother with them. You should try playing that new active in St Mary's Zoom Bingo with that Bonkers Conkers. It's available on their Facebook page. You have far more chance of winning. See you later.
Bye, love. OK, Grandad, she's gone. It's safe to come in now.
I thought she'd never leave.
How's it going?
Oh, we're all set. I've just connected up the last of the fermenting vessels, so the home brewing kit in the shed is all ready to go. The whole setup took a lot longer than I thought. I was worried Brenda might get suspicious. We had been doing more than just clearing out the shed for the last few days.
No, everything's fine. She doesn't suspect a thing.
Well, the first batch is already brewing, so if all goes so well, we should have 60 pints of Snatchups old wallet ready to drink in a week's time.
And with the pubs closed, there'll be no shortage of thirsty villagers just waiting to part with their cash to get some.
It's a gap in the market, and it's there for the taking.
You're right, Grandad.
Indeed, we never thought of it before.
You're right, Grandad. At last our fortunes are changing. This time next year we'll be millionaires.
And on that very dubious claim, we must leave it for this week. Will Stan and Grandad be able to sell their illicit home brew without Brenda finding out? Will Tim be able to plan his revolution before tea time? And will Phil, Tibbs and Sweep make it through to the final of Britain's Got Talent? All will be revealed in next week's exciting episode of The Snatchups.
Wonderful stuff again. Wonderful stuff. I had to go on mute there actually because I was giggling. So thank you. Really enjoyed that as always, and looking forward to next week's. So that's the end of today's performance. I'd like to thank, as always, the players and everybody that came on today, and all the listeners and the people that haven't listened to it yet and will watch it on Facebook. It would be really great if you could, if you are watching it on Facebook, the way to like it and love it and forward it to your friends and so on, because that way we get more exposure and hopefully more people find out about it. As we said earlier, if you want to be involved in the Redbourn Recommends, please let us know, and you can do one of the little slots there. And all the other exciting things going on, we hope you take full advantage of them. So look forward to seeing you all next week. Stay safe, keep warm, and catch up with you all next week. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.